Today we're going to be making an inner belt for our two-piece gun belt that's going to make it basically function like an Orion belt, so we can wear it over clothing without having to weave that Velcro inner belt through our belt loops. We're going to do this by making a wider, sticky, padded belt that's going to interface with the Velcro on the inside of this gun belt that we already have. To do this, I've got two thin pieces of 16th inch foam. This stuff is the stuff that goes underneath floated floors, but you can find all kinds of thin foam. It doesn't have to be this stuff. Any type of foam will work. This foam just gives it a little bit of padding and a little bit of rigidity. So if you get thicker foam, then you aren't going to need to use two pieces, but for mine, that's what I'm going to use. I cut it 3.5 inches wide and 32 inches long. So the 32 inches I get by measuring the inside of my belt from next to the buckle to next to the buckle. So I'm only going to have it go from right about here onwards, and then the same thing on the other side, because you don't want this inner belt to come and line up and be behind the buckle itself. So I'm going to stop right there. From there to the same spot on the other side is about 32 inches for me. I've got the two pieces of foam cut 3.5 by 32. Then I have two pieces of nylon cut 3.5 by 32. And this is going to be a super easy build because all we have to do is start laying out this sandwich. We're just going to sandwich all these pieces together. I'm going to add a layer of foam, the nylon. Alright, now we have our first layer of nylon and our 2 layers of foam. Next we're going to put our top layer of nylon, except for we're going to turn it inside out, or backside out, I guess. So you've got the typical outside face that just has the nylon material, and then you have like the rubberized backing on the other side. For this, we want to put the backing inwards. Not that the backing gives us more like sticking ability, but in a minute we're going to put some of this E6000 in like a zigzag pattern across the back to create like a sticky grid once it dries. And I did a couple test pieces with a drop of E6000 on the inside of a piece of nylon and one on the outside of a piece of nylon. It stuck really well to both, so it doesn't matter that much, but it did stick better to the nylon that had the rubberized piece facing out. Okay, now we're going to flip it over to the outside. On the outside, we're going to take a piece of 2-inch loop side Velcro. Well, make sure that this is the opposite side Velcro that your belt is. I have hook on the inside of my belt, so we're going to put a loop on the outside of this one. Just run it down the full length of this guy, right down the center. Cut it off. Trim those corners. And we're going to stick it down with a piece of double-sided tape. And there we go. So I've just started using a different double-sided tape. This stuff I got off Amazon, and it actually sticks a lot better. So I'm going to toss that in the affiliate link down below. Alright, that looks pretty good. All our layers are together. Make sure everything's good and centered how you want it to be in the end. And then we're going to take a stitch around the edge of this piece of Velcro all the way down and around. So at this point we can trim off any excess, just trimming it off down to the foam on the inside. Now I'm just going to take some of this cross grain ribbon fold it over the edge and sew all the way around to seal that edge. Alright, now I'm just going to take another stitch about halfway between the Velcro and this edge all the way around, and that's just going to give it a little bit of extra rigidity. Alright, here we go. It looks pretty good. One little spot right here where we didn't quite hit the edge of the fabric with our ribbon there, but we can just come back, pull those stitches and sew that back on. It might help if you have a little bit wider ribbon than the 1 inch that I had. Now we're just making some zigzag patterns down the entire length of the belt with this E6000. That's going to give some good grip on the inside of the belt once it dries, like a rubberized grippy surface. They'll stick to the outside of our clothes when we strap this thing on. I tried silicone based adhesives, but it seemed like those just didn't stick as good. Alright, now all of our glue is dried. It's feeling, kind of tacky still. And it should keep that tack to it. If it were to start to get a little bit dirty, you might lose some of it. You can just wash it off and it should come back. But attaching this to the inside of our belt should be pretty simple. We're just going to start on one end, right over here by the buckle. And just where the Velcro starts, start meeting the Velcro pieces together. Just lining them up right on top of each other. I'm going to give this a little bit of a curve as I wrap it around, just to kind of pre-form it in a little bit of a slightly curved shape. And there we go. That should be looking pretty good. And this inner belt can be used with any type of Velcro outer belt. So instead of having to have a completely different belt setup, if it's like cold weather coming up and you're going to want to wear this type of belt that's going to be over your jacket, you don't have to get a whole new belt. You can just make one of these Velcro inner belts like this, and it should work pretty well for you. I went pretty light with the zigzag of this E6000 for the grip. I'm probably going to come back and add some more in there just to give myself a little more grip on the inside of this belt. But there we go. Looks pretty good, and it should work pretty good.